Hey everybody, what's up? It's Ben with Lucid Travel again here, and this is the second video we're doing. This is pretty new for us again. We're just hoping to reach out to new entrepreneurs out there. We're doing this every day. We're a very new company, about a year old or a little bit over a year, and we're figuring all this out. So I figured I'd share a little bit of insight into the fundraising piece of a startup, and I think that it's highly overhyped right now. I think everyone looks at these major Silicon Valley companies and thinks that's what they need to do. And they say, oh, they raised $1.5 million round out of the gates, and I need to do the same. And we're going to be on a 10x trajectory and this and that. And that's not to say that you're not going to, but try to be practical with it. Try to think about what you actually have resource-wise, what your skill set is, who your team is, and reverse engineer that back to reality. So not every business should be raising money, and definitely not every business should be raising venture capital. Venture capital are going for the businesses that are going to be industry leading in the categories over a short period of time, 7, really max 10 years. And it's because what happens is these funds are set up that way. They're set up in tranches where they get lenders from large institutions or pension funds, whatever it is, that put a certain amount of the money into venture, and they're expecting returns of possible at least 100x, because 9 out of 10 of the companies they invest in go to zero, and then that one they need that's going to get back the entire fund. So they go for the ones that are super high trajectory and are going to be industry leaders in that category. So the average business is not going to have that kind of trajectory right out the gate, right? So everyone thinks that you need to, because we read all these magazines and we look at it on LinkedIn and we see all these other places where people are raising all kinds of money, and every year they're doubling in size and tripling in number of employees and all that, which that should be the way you aspire to be. But when you're first getting started, the first 6 months, the first year, especially if you're a first-time entrepreneur, think about, how do I acquire customers? That's it. If you think about one thing, how are you acquiring customers? How are you keeping them? And how are you increasing that and improving your product? So what I want to say to some people is, you don't need to raise money. You can do so much more than you think without raising money, especially if you're younger, because you don't need a 100K salary to support your family and your mortgage and your 3 cars and the kids and whatever. You can live on very little. You can get people that are interested and inspired to join the team for very little. And you can make incremental progress and build a very good, sustainable business. Because here's the reality. When you get funding for a business, I know it's highlighted in these magazines as a huge, hey, look at this company, it's valid now. Just because a company raises money does not mean that they are serving customers or growing quickly. It doesn't mean any of that. A lot of times it means they probably aren't, right? So when someone invests in the company, they're taking something. It's not free. It's not like when a company gets this, that should be necessarily always celebrated, because the founders, the people that took on the most risk in the beginning, are losing equity in the business, meaning ownership. They're giving a piece of their business away. And as an entrepreneur, that's really the only thing you have that's better than a standard job, is ownership in the company. So if you give away 30% of your company out of the gate, well, you better believe that in 6 months, a year, 18 months, you're going to have to raise another round. What are you going to give there? Another 15, 20% for the same amount? Maybe you grow a little bit, whatever. So think about it in terms of, after these rounds you see over and over again, these founders are coming out with almost no equity in the company. So then even though if they sell the business, maybe they don't make anything. Whereas someone else that took the slower route but owns 90, 100%, whatever it is, they may get the same payout on a $10 million exit instead of $100 million, whatever, right? So think about in terms of, what do you want from this? Are you okay with that extremely high growth and life cycle business? Or are you trying to build a brand? Are you trying to build more of a corporation, a lifestyle? Define that, because you don't want to be stuck where you get in with an investor and they're expecting this huge payout from you really quickly, and your growth trends are not mapping to their expectations. That's a bad place to be. And if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you can get out here, test with customers, iterate your product to where what you're pitching today is probably not what is going to actually be in 6 months, and so on and so forth. So if you can bootstrap, that can be a really good method to get this thing out there, to get people thinking about it, and to really do this in a way that's sustainable and build great culture and values around it. So don't always jump straight into equity. Equity, so the last thing I'll point on here, the reason that you should be going out for venture funding and for equity funding is if one, the market's going to shrink or disappear, or there's a competitor that's going to grab this market if you don't act right now. Two, you can't do it without money. Or three, there's no way for you to test this at scale without the money. Because all that a startup is trying to do is validate a process that can be scaled. That's it. That's all we're trying to do here, right? So think about it when you're thinking about the funding. Know that you can do more than you actually think with this, and get out there and start selling. Start selling, start doing, start inspiring and recruiting. And focus less on the money and try to make your money from the customer, not necessarily some capitalist out there that's trying to take a part of your business and wants a 10x return.